Welcome to ZKast, everyone. I'm ZS Caravallo from ZK Research, and this is another emergency Zcast. I've got Bob Laliberte from the Cube Research, well-known networking analyst on the line. Bob, how you doing?
Doing very well, ZS. Thank you. How are you?
Good, good. Yeah, it was reported late last night by many media outlets that Arista would be buying the VeloCloud business unit, which is being divested out of Broadcom, which had previously been divested out of VMware into the Veritas group at Broadcom. And first of all, Bob, there's been no public statement from either company. I asked Arista. I was hoping Jayshree would say, heck yeah, but instead I just got no comment. And this does make a lot of sense, though. Any initial thoughts on this?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, my first thought when I heard it was, yeah, this makes a ton of sense. Arista's been looking to expand, right? They're known traditionally for the data center aspects. They've been acquiring and building out technology to the campus and branch. And so to me, this is a great opportunity to get just a very large market share very quickly and then be able to expand in from there. So instead of going from the data center out, they can start from the WAN in or go from both directions. And so obviously, like I said, huge install base. So that is good. They'll be able to leverage that and bring it into the fold. Clearly, there's some work to do, right? One of the things they pride themselves on is the single operating system. So that's something they're going to need to work on to decide whether they're bringing that into the fold and making it all part of that one continuous end-to-end package. But certainly, I think for the folks at VeloCloud, this is probably very encouraging for them to see this, that they're being bought by a networking company that wants to invest in their technology.
Yeah, the VeloCloud tenure, if you want to call it that, within VMware has been interesting in that, if you recall, when it was first acquired it was really the SD-WAN market had come down to two companies, Viptela and Velo. Yeah. And VMware had taken a very kind of anti-networking approach to networking, which I don't know why you do that, but it really irked a lot of the networking buyers. And the VMware brand being associated with SD-WAN, in fact, it was called VMware SD-WAN, didn't work very well. So they rebranded back to VeloCloud by VMware, and that actually had some positive uptake. I know from talking to some of the VeloCloud leadership that I ran into at Mobile World Congress, in the interim, they were running with the brand VeloCloud by Broadcom. That actually had some upside. And so I think moving VeloCloud to a networking company, it's a little akin to Avaya spinning out its network business and selling to Extreme. When I talked to people there, they said it's the first time that we've ever been owned by a company that gives a crap about networking, right? So same thing here. And from a Broadcom perspective, though, it's an interesting move. And I guess if you take, Hock Tan, who runs Broadcom, is unwavering in his commitment to profitability, and everything is oriented around VCF, and certainly VeloCloud doesn't fit that, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it makes a lot of sense for them, and not surprising. And I think you could probably see some of the decoupling that they did to better position it to be jettisoned. So like I said, if this is going to happen, as you indicated, so far there's been no comment from all interested parties. Yeah. But I think if it does happen, you could understand, I think, why it's going to happen. You could see how both the internal team at VMware and Arista would be excited about the potential opportunities of bringing these together. Who knows if it has to pass any kind of government regulatory hurdles? But
as long as it doesn't exceed North American Wi-Fi share, right? So, okay. Yeah. Now, we're of course joking about the HP Juniper pending acquisition. Now, it's an interesting play for Arista, because VeloCloud, by all accounts, is shared. I don't have the exact market share in front of me, but I think they're number 2 or 3 in SD-WAN market share. I think 2, and that would make and Arista, while they're a very dominant data center vendor, they've been toying with Wi-Fi and campus networking. But if you could all of a sudden grab a huge chunk of WAN share, just think of the potential to sell in, Wi-Fi and things into the branch, right?
It's cognitive WAN, right? So tying that in together, putting their Arista magic to it, putting their innovation in it to drive it forward, and it gives them a much. Right now, they have obviously a big play when we talk about networking for AI. They've got a big play supporting the cloud providers, the neo clouds, a lot of the large enterprises that want to deploy that back-end GPU. This gives them a much better entry point for talking also about the front-end network as well, right? And getting the data from where it's being generated to those models, right? To the inferencing locations, et cetera.
Yeah, the other question it raises, so you brought up the point about single operating system. They're a good technology company. They'll figure that out. Now, the one thing that being part of Broadcom did bring VMware was the ability to roll out a single vendor SASE, right? Because they didn't have that before. Now that, because it was Broadcom, no, what was it? SD-WAN by VeloCloud by VMware with semantic security or something like that. But they lose the semantic piece of it. And so does this mean Arista might go on the hunt for a pure play SSE vendor? Yeah, IBOS, Lookout, something like that, right? It certainly opens the door to that.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I don't think VeloCloud gained any huge advantage by being partnered up with Symantec from an SSE, from a brand recognition or anything perspective.
Except they can be in the Gartner single vendor SASE MQ.
Correct. Yeah, it gets them entry into that. Yeah. But I think either through partnership or through potential, like you said, acquisition with any number of companies, they could build out that SASE story. Obviously, the play is for, the most dominant is around the zero trust aspect, right? Which they're already talking about. So I think there's lots of, it does bring up the point that of opportunity for future, that this would potentially not be an end game, but part of a game, part of their end game, which would be to acquire that WAN technology and then acquire some of that SSE technology as well.
Yeah, well, Arista doesn't buy often, but when they do, they've been pretty impactful. And I got to tell you, this is Arista was one company I was dead wrong on, because I've seen other companies try and build high performance switches. You think about Foundry, Forest 10, companies like that. They could never get out of their way and figure out how to go broader than that. But Jayshree and company certainly have done that. And so if this deal does close, I'd certainly give it 2 big thumbs up. I'm assuming you'd be the same.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it benefits not only people from VMware, the crowd at VMware, not only Arista, but in particular the customers will certainly benefit from it as well, having that combined technology and that re-innovation cycle occurring there.
Yeah. All right. So we look at this as a win-win-win-win. Good for customers, good for Arista, good for VeloCloud, and good for Broadcom, because now you don't have to deal with that messy growth stuff. You can just go back to, raising prices on the traditional core infrastructure, right? So
I'm gonna leave that to you.
Okay. you're being a little friendlier on it than I am, I suppose. All right, Bob. So I have heard this has been in, will it close or will it not? I've heard this has been in play for a while, so I'm fully expecting to see some kind of announcement sooner than later. Yeah,
especially with all the press and attention it's getting now.
Yeah.
It may be a forcing function to do something and announce something.
Yeah. We'll see. Right. Well, I don't want to put any words in your mouth, but for the folks at Velo and Arista, a preemptive congratulations on the acquisition. I think it makes a lot of sense.
Sounds good.
So, anyways, thanks for taking your time out of your day, Bob. On behalf of Bob Laliberte from the Cube Research, I'm ZS Caravallo from ZK Research, and thanks for watching. Give us a like and hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you next time on the next episode of ZKast.